Hello and welcome to another episode of 49 Cent Grab Bag, the show all about games that are on sale for 49 cents on Steam the week, whatever week this is, I don't know. Probably, these episodes will probably come the week after they've been in the 49 Cent Club, but, that doesn't matter. It's still the same. 49 cents is what these games are on sale for, and so that's why it's called 49 Cent Grab Bag. So in this episode, I have 7 new games. Well, 7 more games to talk about. And the first one is called Ink Plane. So what is this game? So it takes a lot of inspiration from the old arcade games. I think the one game's called like 1940 something. It's a World War II top-down plane shooter bullet hell type game that I used to play a lot of. I can never remember the name, but I know it was 1940 something, and you played as this plane and you shoot down planes and ships on the ground and stuff like that. This game is a little bit more laid back, I guess, in a sense. It doesn't have as much going on as like the games I was mentioning. Each different level in the game, there's 3 different levels: air, sea, and land, and they all have different enemies to face. So the air will have planes, bombers, there's like jets that come in later on, and the final boss is the giant plane. Like I said, it does take heavy inspiration from those old arcade games, so some of the, especially the boss plane design, I definitely saw that plane design when I was playing those old games. So it's very cutesy. It's definitely worth the price, I think. There's not much to do in the game, right? So, there's the 3 levels. You can play through them as many times as you want to. They don't take too long to get through. I think it took me like 3 minutes to get through the first level, and of course the levels do get more difficult because of the different enemy types. I do feel like this game needed more air levels, right? This game seems to be based around air because it's so much easier to take down airplanes with airplane bullets and the shots that they give you. And you go over to like sea, and the ships are really skinny, and like the double gun one doesn't like hit them correctly. And then you go to the land one, and kind of the same thing where the tanks are a little bit wider, but they're not like the best to shoot at with the double cannon or even the triple cannon. So it is a fine game. I have no complaints about it, but it's one of those things that's like, it's a little basic, and I wish that there's a little bit more to the game, and I think that the developer should have focused on the airplane stuff more than the rest of the stuff, because the rest of the stuff just feels very basic. Like the plane one has clouds and the planes are everywhere, but the sea one has like little swirls for waves which don't look like waves, and the ships are just kind of dotted around. And same thing with the land levels. It's just you're going across a freeway of sorts, and there's like lines and stuff, and it just I feel like the first level has the most charm to it, and the other ones just kind of fall a little bit flat. So Ink Plane, thumb kind of sideways. It's fine. I don't mind it, but probably could have been better. All right, so the next game we're gonna look at is called Trash Squad. You'll be saying, "I'm the Trash Man," because you're gonna go through here and just shoot all the trash you see. It's a randomly generated RPG shooter, kind of like bullet hell type thing. It's very reminiscent of the Gungeon, Enter the Gungeon. There's a lot of different weapons you can use. Each character kind of has its own special abilities attached to it. And like I said, it's all randomly generated. It's not like a dungeon crawler because it's just one area that you have to kill all the enemies in, and then you move on to the next one. But it is very reminiscent of something like Enter the Gungeon. Now, instead of me saying that they copied entirely from it, this game does have a lot of new unique features to it, unlike the game from last time, which was a copy of Geometry Wars. This game definitely has its own vibe to it. It is heavily inspired by Enter the Gungeon, but if you like Enter the Gungeon and you like bullet hell type games and RPG and random elements, this is definitely a game that you might want to look into. It's a very cutesy game. I think the graphics are a little bit lacking in my opinion, but I think overall it's a playable game, it's a fun game, and I'm definitely going to be playing more of it in the future. I like how each character has their own style and their own starting weapons and stuff like that, kind of how Enter the Gungeon does. And I've picked up a bunch of weapons on the one playthrough I did, and I had like rocket launchers, flamethrowers, poop cannons, stuff like that. There's also bosses after every so often. I fought a giant trash can for the first boss. And that's about as far as I got after I beat him, because the levels, even though they seem simplistic, the enemies are really difficult. If you get swarmed quickly, it's over for you. I mean, after that boss fight, I went to the next level kind of playing the way that I was playing, and I guess I was getting lucky through most of the other levels because I just got swarmed and immediately killed really fast in that part. So it is a bit of a challenge kind of a game, but it's mostly because of all the enemies that they kind of cram onto the screen in these small areas, which is a little bit of a negative. But overall, it's a neat game. It's fine. If you like Enter the Gungeon, you're probably going to enjoy this one. The next game we're going to talk about is called Pixel Traffic Circle Rush. If there was something I could show you to kind of be like, hey, this is what the word boring means, I would probably recommend you just watch about a minute of gameplay of this game. Pretty much the entire game is your car drives around in a circle, and there's another car in a circle as well. The circles meet at 2 points in the circle, like a chart or something like that. Essentially, the one car and your car are going different speeds. Your car will either go faster or go slower depending on when you click your mouse. Now, it almost seems like they changed that randomly throughout the course of the game, because once the second car comes, it seemed like I was still slowing down when I pressed the mouse button, but then all of a sudden I sped up and I ran into a car, which ruined my best run. There's also a hard mode in the game, which adds a single road in the middle of the circles going straight through them, which has cars on it, and it's a little bit of bullshit. I'm not rage quitting on this game, I'm just saying it's a bit of bullshit that the car will come exactly as you're passing, and the car is so close to the end of the screen, and it's something that you kind of have to see through the gameplay I'm showing, but the car literally comes and has like a millisecond. Like, you can see it for a millisecond, and in that millisecond, if it runs into you, it'll crash into you, of course, and end the game. And there's really no way of judging when a car is going to come from that direction. With the easy mode, just the 2 circles, it's a little bit easier to manage, but the game is just so dang boring. I just started getting distracted while playing it. The music doesn't help either. It's a very, very like upbeat, like, and it's just so annoying. It just repeats that over and over and over and over again. So this is definitely one to stay away from. It's not fun. Easy achievements, I suppose, but all these cars, the extra cars you can get, cost like upwards of 200 coins, and the only way to get coins is to, of course, play the game, and you get 1 coin equals 1 coin. That it's not like 1 coin equals 10 coins. No, 1 coin equals 1 coin. So if you're playing on easy mode, it's going to take you longer to get coins. If you're playing harder mode, obviously it's going to take a little bit less time. But in the end, it's just a bad game, so don't even play it. Next game we're going to talk about is called Shooting Stars, and this is like an old meme game that was put on the Steam page back in 2016. It's kind of weird because a lot of the references in this game are kind of old, even for YouTube standards. Like you got Justin Bieber in here, The Rock, Lady Gaga, and Psy. Remember Psy from the Gundam style, right? That's in there. There's like a whole bunch of like old references, but it's a really interesting game. Like I said, it is a phone game, so the controls didn't map too well to the mouse and keyboard. When I tried to use my left click for firing my regular weapon, it moved me to the spot where my cursor was, which was really weird. So I decided just to use the keyboard controls with WSAD to move, and then K and I think it was K and spacebar to do my different moves. So you have a regular laser gun coming out of your kitten. Your character's also on a hoverboard, if I might add, which is pretty cool. But your kitten shoots laser beams, and as you get food, you get different abilities. So some foods will have health and items gravitate towards you. Some of them will increase your laser power. Some of them will increase, bullet spread and stuff like that, how fast the bullets shoot. So there's a lot of, it's all randomly generated as well. It's all random. The bosses and stuff that you fight are also random as well. I think Chuck Norris is also in this game. It's one of those things. It's a lot of old references, obviously, and the game came out in 2016, and I think even by 2016, some of these references were kind of old or dated. But that's okay because it's a fun game. Like I said, it was a phone game, so don't expect too much quality. But it's a really cutesy game. I think that the one area where it's kind of like a little bit lacking is a lot of the enemies, even though they're reused assets, a lot of them will have through a different level will have different things happening. Like sometimes they'll shoot regular bullets, sometimes they'll shoot big bullets, sometimes they'll shoot rockets at you, and you're not really sure what type of enemy you're gonna get until they start shooting at you. That's one of the things about that. Also, I have no clue what the cards do. I've collected 2 cards. They were both the same that I've already had, and I have no clue what they do. I wasn't able to get another one to pop through my time playing it, but they seem to kind of change things, or maybe you start off with something different. I don't know. I almost forgot your special attack, your big special attack. So there's a bunch of different things which are all references as well. Like there's a like bomb, there's like a stormtrooper, like they miss their shots but the shots ricochet or something like that. There's like double rainbow, it's like a quad rainbow actually that comes on the screen and like laser beams. There's like the Walmart happy guy who just does a spinning circle and shoots bullets everywhere. Pretty interesting. Also, I noticed that sometimes the bosses can't shoot the opposite direction, so if you just go above them, you might have to worry about a bullet here or there. But there was like the boss that was the Rock. He could only shoot downwards, so I was just waiting for my special to refill, and I could just use it over and over again and kind of cheese the boss. Other than that, like I said, it's a fun little game. I think they should definitely either update this one or make a new one for what's happening now, on YouTube. Maybe have some Oliver Tree in there, Max Mofos, have your Davey 504s and PewDiePie, stuff like that. Have them kind of make appearances in the game. And of course, they've changed the names a little bit for the characters. So instead of it being the Rock, it's like the Rook or something like that. And instead of Lady Gaga, it's Lady Go Go. So no copyright there. So they could kind of do the same thing. Oliver Tree turns into Oliver Sprout. I don't know, something like that. Anyways, interesting game, worth 49 cents for sure. It's a nice time wasting bullet hell type game, yeah, pretty cool. Alright, so the next game we're going to be talking about is called Super Destronaut DX. Super Destronaut DX. Obviously takes a lot of inspiration from Space Invaders, maybe a little bit from Galaga, maybe a little bit from Galaxian. It's a game where you play as a spaceship, you go side to side shooting bullets, but this is like a new style of Space Invaders. It's got a lot of charm, style. It's like a natural evolution that I would think that a company like maybe Atari or whoever owns the rights to Space Invaders, this seems like the next step that it would be. It's that similar to Space Invaders, but it's different enough. It's got like a new spin to it that it's a really, really fun and enjoyable game. So as you go through the levels, if you hit the red guy who's usually in the middle, he'll give you a power-up, which is either like missiles, bomb shots, multi-shots, laser beams, stuff like that, just to help you get through the levels. There's a challenge mode, there's a hardcore mode, a timed mode, I think there's like an endless mode as well, or normal mode I guess it's called. There's also leaderboards and stuff like that you can check out. This game is really cool. I like the art style. I love the music. I don't like that it slows down the game every time you get a new power-up, and it like really slows it down and it's slow motion. Also, there's a new thing in this one where sometimes when you kill an enemy, they'll turn into like a ghost mode or a shadow mode, and you can shoot them to get extra bonus points. So I think it's like 50 points for every shot you get. That's cool. But there's also ghost or shadow guys who come from like the ground in front of you, and you have to dodge them with your ship. And that aspect of the game I'm not too thrilled about. There's a lot of cheap hits to be had because you're focusing at the enemies up top, but there's a whole plethora of ghosts coming from below. It's just one of those things that it's annoying. It adds a new dimension to the game, I guess, but it's something that I didn't think they really needed. I found the challenge mode to be really fun. Just survive as long as you can. There's one that's get a certain amount of points within the time limit. There's like get 3 power-ups, stuff like that. Just cool little challenges. There's a whole bunch of them. Yeah, it's a nice game. I really enjoy it. The achievements are easy enough if you're one of those type of people who loves finding achievements in games, but it's one of those things that it's a really fun game. I like the graphical style, I love the music, I love everything about it. There's just a few things that I can nitpick to say, that's not the coolest thing there, but for the most part, really cool game. Super Destronaut DX. Space Invaders 2, pretty much. I don't think there ever was a Space Invaders 2. Hold on, let me look that up. Oh my god, there was. Part 2. Well, this is Space Invaders 3. This is like Space Invaders 3. Alright. Next game we're going to talk about is called Space Fuss. This is a game where you play as a hobo who gets his cardboard box stolen, and everything is in space. So I guess what happened is the Earth disappeared, and everyone on the planet, had jetpacks and shit like that. Apparently, they can all breathe in space as well. But essentially, you play as this homeless guy who's just trying to get his box back from an evil kitten. So the combat in the game is kind of interesting. It's kind of like a tower defense thing, except you're using like robots to battle for you, and you have 4 stages of different robots. You also have a pet who can shoot and do stuff for you, and you have 2 or 3 special abilities you can use on the battlefield as well. It's kind of a creative concept. I don't think I've seen something quite like this before. It is a bit challenging at times, I think. It's not the easiest game in the world to play, but it's pretty fun. I found myself enjoying it in short bursts. I don't think I could play hours on end of this game, but it's kind of a goofy concept, and I think the art style is cool. It's a little bit simplistic, but I like how the characters are designed. The tutorial also is a really nice tutorial, sets everything up for you quite well. Like I said, there's just some things that are just a little. There's like a major difficulty spike at the second level, and it took me a few times to get through it. But it's still a pretty fun game, and I'd recommend it, especially for 49 cents. The last game I want to talk about today is called Devious Dungeon, which is a really up and down game for me. I feel like the way that they map the controls on the keyboard is really bad. I didn't play it with a controller, but it's just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. You have to hold A and S to jump, and A swings your sword, S is like your enter key, D pulls up like a map. It's really, you have to use the arrow keys also to run around. It's a very strange control scheme, and for the controls being as wonky as they are, your character's very it feels like you're walking on ice the entire time, right? So they have these platforming sections with like spikes and stuff below you, and it's such a tedious kind of control system that it doesn't really work for this type of game. I think if they remap the controls or allowed the players to remap the controls, maybe they do, I think that this game would be a lot better. Another thing that kind of annoyed me about the game is the art style is kind of weird, and also there's no way to really dodge enemy attacks when you're hitting them, right? They just kind of come towards you and try and plow through you, which will of course hurt you. You do get a lot of health, but I feel like that this game needed a different type of control scheme, and a different way to maybe dodge or roll, or an easier way to jump. When I was playing the game, I was just kind of forgetting the controls because they're so different from what you would normally see in a game like this. It was just so different. Just using the WSAD buttons in a different way, and spacebar isn't the jump, and it was telling you to do things, and I was like, okay, well, what's tab for again? What's 8? What's this for again? It was a very strange control scheme, and it really turned me off from the game. I liked the music, I liked the overall how the game was. I wasn't a big fan of of the graphical style, and I think that the fighting needs a little work, but obviously this is an older game. It's 49 cents. You might be saying, yeah, I mean, what do you expect from these games? Well, I mean, we've seen a lot of good games, especially in this episode. But anyways, I think that's going to do it. I can't recommend Devious Dungeon right now. It's just a little bit too weird, to say the least. But yeah, let me know what you thought of the games in the comments down below. Are there any games that you're going to run and get for 49 cents when they're on sale next time? Definitely add them to your wish list. Probably my favorite game out of this lot was Super Destronaut DX. I wish I could say the name, but that's okay. Also, Shooting Stars was really funny and fun as well. And that's going to do it for this episode of 49 Cent Grab Bag. Thank you for listening and or watching. I'm YemmytheFerret, and I'm out of here.